Thank you for joining us here at Waking Up the Witch. We just wanted to add a trigger warning to the beginning of this episode. It includes violence, sexual violence against a minor, and talks of suicide. If you or someone you know is struggling with any of these, we have a couple numbers for you. For domestic violence, you can text BEGIN at 88788. And if you're thinking of harming yourself or others, please just text 988. And please listen with care. I'm Taylor.
And I'm Amber.
And this is
Waking Up the Witch. We're your neighborhood witches. Each week, we talk about all things witchy and connect with other humans in a storytelling format about navigating life on this floating rock.
We're two curious ladies trying to understand the human experience. But while we do that, we think it's important to honor the people that lived here before us and honor the cultures and traditions that we're being inspired by.
This podcast is about waking up the witch, which means we are learning and growing every day. That being said, we are always open to feedback on how we can do better.
The views and opinions of our guests don't necessarily reflect the views and opinions of Waking Up the Witch. Now, let's go, ghouls. Hey, Amber.
Hi, Taylor.
I'm tired.
I'm so tired.
Oh, my God.
I'm sure the emotions have something to do with it. This is a very emotional episode ahead for you guys. Do you want to catch up on anything today?
No.
Yeah. It's a little longer than usual, but it's very valuable and full of lots of heartfelt stuff. It's my sister, and she's fucking amazing and brave, and I'm really grateful for her sharing the depths of her soul today with us. It's oof. I really think that's why I feel so like instantly zapped today. But it's a very beautiful, vulnerable conversation, and my sweet sister has grown up to be able to like take so much of what she's been through and grow into the mother she's become and use that for like as a superpower for her good. And she gives a lot of really good advice if you are also a parent who may be having some struggles there with your children as well. So yeah, and at the very end, there's a beautiful reading that she does for us too, with a unique form of divination as well. So
take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and enjoy. Love you.
Love you so much. You're so worthy. You belong. Enjoy. Begin by closing your eyes if that feels safe, if you're able to, and grounding your feet on the ground. And let's take 3 deep grounding breaths together. Breathe in and release. Another deep breath in and exhale. One last big, deep grounding breath in and release. Inviting in our higher selves to be here with us today for this magical conversation. And all the higher selves of everyone who's meant to listen to this. on any timeline in the future. Inviting in our ancestors and our spiritual guides and guardians to wrap us in a loving bubble of protection, helping us to feel safe in our vulnerability, helping us to feel connected in this container. Please allow for the magical flow of conversation and for whatever is meant to be held and received to come through today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Real quick, there's a new Queen Herbie that just came out, and there's one part of her song where she's like saying everyone like breathing in and breathing out, but it's like take a big breath in. Now let that shit go. And it's like so cathartic every time I'm listening to it now. And then I just like want to cry. I'm like, that is the best breath I've ever had my whole life. Listen to Queen Herbie. She's the queen. This is Amber speaking. Our guest today is Melody Moore, my sister. And unfortunately, we lost the first 20 minutes or so of her audio. So what's coming next is just jumping in the middle of our conversation. She's just talking about a time when I was young and I used to make up my own little healing oils and was using them on her when she wasn't feeling well. So this episode still is very valuable and important. So we wanted to make sure to still get it out to you. But please just have some grace with us because technology, you know?
And just know that we truly believe whatever comes through is what's meant to come through, and whatever happens, happens. And that's why we're still putting out this episode, even though there might be little issues, technical issues.
100%.
So enjoy.
Okay, so I remember at this time that I had the flu and I was like feverish and sweaty and like my body was hurting and I had a headache and it was just like really icky, like felt disgusting. And I was laying on the couch watching some like ghost sighting show. And you came over to me with like a little tincture bottle, which with one of your little potions in it. And you like put it on my forehead and you put it like in my hair and you said, "It's okay, sissy, you're okay now." And yeah, and like the next morning I woke up and I felt totally fine. So like I don't know if that's like
Magic.
an accurate like depiction or an accurate like timeline because I don't remember if it was like the next morning or a few days later or whatever it was. All I know is that after you
Yeah.
put that on, I felt awesome. And I was like, I don't know what's in that, but keep it around because it's amazing. So
You guys are so cute. I hated when my sister was nice to me. I'd punch her in the face. Like, ew, you're gross. Don't call me sissy. I'm not a sissy. And then I just like,
I mean, we were pretty rotten to each
yeah,
other
we were
too.
horrible to each other. This was when we were still
We
cute and
hated each
little.
other.
Like we were still, like I don't know.
I was in like 4th grade
Yeah, it was when
when
we
we lived at
lived.
that house with Guinevere.
This was when we lived at that like little apartment complex that was right across from
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Lisa and Kanani.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that was maybe like 3rd grade I was
yeah,
in then.
like really little. Like we
Cute.
still loved each other at that time because we were adorable tiny children. So
Yeah, I hadn't gotten into
cute.
my
yeah.
I'm really cool phase yet.
Oh, you did towards the end of living there though, because that's when you were all like Gangster's
Well, me
Paradise, like freaking crazy.
and so true.
But yeah.
So funny.
I actually remember stealing one of Mom's oils while we lived there. It was called
Oh.
Goddess oil and it was like red. I had this oil up until I don't know, like 3 or 4 years ago. Um,
Oh, wow. The same
and
one?
yeah, the same little bottle, and
Wow.
it just smelled so good that like I wanted it all the
Oh,
time. And I have never been
you
able
were such
to.
a little
I was a little klepto,
klepto.
yeah.
I always
um,
forget that part about you.
yeah,
You stole
I
everything.
stole everything. Your Tommy Hilfiger jeans specifically, I remember that was when we started
I
being brought
had
into it.
Tommy Hilfiger dreams.
Yeah, you remember
I mean, jeans.
your little klepto phase when we lived in Germany?
Oh, yeah. We got in trouble together being
Oh, big
kleptos.
time.
I was such a good klepto until I brought you into the game.
Seriously, the first time you brought me, we got caught. That was horrible. Oh, that was so
So funny.
scary.
Yeah.
Like we got read our
We were
rights,
arrested.
guys. Like, don't mess around with like the military PX situation. Okay, they are
For real.
wild.
They're
Um,
watching. Naughty.
turns out though they were watching
Oh,
you for a couple of trips, and then I just so happened to be
oh
with you
yeah.
that day. So
Yeah. I'd
we
stole a
were
lot
just
from
dumb and
you.
decided that being hungry was more important than getting away. So we're like food court first.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. That was the mistake
yeah,
that I see.
hey, we would have gotten away with it if it weren't
We
for
would have.
those freaking that
That was
Chinese food
dumb.
in there.
Yeah.
Anyway. But yeah, so I had this oil up until about 2 or 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. I can't remember how long ago it was, but it was definitely
Wow.
like within the last 5 years. And I used like the
I
last
wonder if
drop.
you can find it again. That would
I don't
be
know. It was just like
interesting.
a pretty generalized, like little 5 ml um glass bottle with like a black cap. It
So
didn't
cool.
even have a roller or anything. And it had
Mm-hmm.
just like a brown sticker around it that said Goddess Oil on it. So I wouldn't even have like the
From
first.
the 90s.
Yeah,
So probably different branding by now.
I've definitely tried to find it. But
It
I
might have
mean,
been just like something local
I'm
and
pretty sure it was something that
homemade or
mom got
something.
at like one of the
Yeah.
festivals we went to or something like that. But it was amazing.
Yeah,
So,
totally.
uh, yeah.
Well, keep us going on your story then. You loved the witchy upbringing that we had, and then what happened?
And then, and then, um, horror happened. Uh, I know that we started kind of like gearing away from it when Sean used to bring grandma around because then we would have to go to, the Catholic church
Mm.
on
Yeah,
Sundays.
his
And
grandmother lived in Wisconsin, would come to visit us, and Guinevere went in the closet,
yep,
and we went to Catholic Mass.
yeah. And then at some point, I don't know if it was when we were stationed in Fort Carson or beforehand, because again, I was younger and things had already started happening at that point. Horrible
Mm-hmm.
things with Sean. Um, he, I all I remember is that we got baptized and had our first communion at um the church in Fort Carson. That's all I remember. And we went to youth
Trauma is
group
a funny thing
all the time.
because our memories get so like cross-haired from the trauma. Our mom's second husband, the guy we're talking about, was very abusive, physically, mentally, sexually, all of it. Very horrible.
Yeah.
And it's pretty wild what happens to your brain. It kind of gets a little scrambled when there's just so much going on that you can't really remember like all these other things. Like it's interesting to me some of the memories that you do have that like have left my brain
Yeah.
completely. And even just like you trying to come up with a timeline, like and figure out like when did these things happen,
Yeah,
and
because
there's
like
literally just a huge gap
and I definitely
of
remember being
time.
like younger when he first
Yeah.
started, coming into my room at night. And
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, wait, that was after, we lived in Germany. But no, it wasn't because this is how old I
Mm-mm.
was, at
Mhm.
that time.
Yeah.
And I remember, when we lived in Germany, like I was trying to get my lunch money from him. And he's like, well, give me a kiss first, and like he was
Ugh.
just a
Yeah.
disgusting human being. And like I would give him a kiss.
Yeah.
And he's like, call me daddy. And I'm like, I did. And
Ugh.
because he always wanted me to call him Daddy Sean,
I forget
and
about that. Yep.
like, so like I gave him a quick peck kiss that you would give to your dad, and he's like, now give me another one. And he would like make me stay there
Mm.
longer. And like he wouldn't give me my fucking lunch money until I did
Yeah.
this shit. Like, you're a
Yeah.
fucking disgusting human being and you should like be raped in the ass for the rest of your life. I'm sorry. Probably shouldn't have
No,
said
sorry.
that.
I mean, your feelings are so real and valid, and it's pretty fucking disgusting,
Yeah, like
what
I
we
was
did have to go through.
12 when he was doing this to me. I was
I
I'm
was also
sorry.
12.
8 when he first started coming into my room.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
he's an absolutely horrid human being. But
Mhm.
I'm sorry.
yeah, it was rough
Yeah,
for
and that's
sure,
when the magic went away
Yeah,
when that began too, which
for
is
sure.
interesting because I
hmm
remember the house, like I remember the last house, and maybe my memory is also fucked. Who knows? But I remember the last house we lived in. I was in 5th grade, and that house is where Guinevere got burned, and
hmm
then pretty much all the magic went
Yeah,
away,
gone.
and we moved to the west side. No, that was before too. That's when they got married.
Yep.
Yeah, I really like
Yeah, it's so
my
scrambled.
memory's pretty blank after that.
Yeah.
And like I know we did a couple back and forth between Colorado and New Mexico
Yep.
again.
hmm
And we would go to church when like I remember it did feel like a bit of a sanctuary, like when things just felt heavy. And it was like, we just need to
Yeah.
go somewhere where it feels safe. Like church didn't
Yeah,
really
and like that's
feel
why I loved going to
bad.
youth group because
Yeah. Kept us out of the house.
it kept us away from him. Like we weren't at home.
Mhm.
And like
Mhm.
home is where you're
Totally.
supposed to be able to go to feel safe. And when we were
Mm-hmm.
kids, that was not our place. Like
Yeah.
even when we were at home, we were outside. We went and we
Yep.
rode our bikes, or we would go and play behind the shed in the backyard, which, by the way,
Motherfucker. You know that song? Sabrina Carpenter. One thing, my ego's enough. I bet you don't embarrass me, motherfucker. Nope. Yeah, I put the twang on it, I guess. It's easy to say. Thanks, motherfucker. Hi. Thank you for coming to this intermission for my performance.
I told Taylor, I was like, I think the universe is just saying, like, take a breath. You're talking about some heavy shit. You just need a breather.
yeah,
It's okay.
yeah, that's probably what's happening for sure.
Yeah. It's just a gift. It's okay. And this is why we buffer our time.
Yeah,
Taylor's grabbing us some wine. Oh, here
cool.
she is. It's like,
Um,
she got wine. I might need some wine for this conversation. Get back into it.
Yeah, so like we were always outside just because we didn't want to be inside. We didn't want to be where the what did we name him? The pinche cabron. I don't even
Oh
know what
yeah,
that
we
means
did.
in Spanish,
I think
but
that
that's
came
what we
from
called.
Kanani.
Yeah, I think she told us that it meant prick or something.
Yeah.
So we called him pinche cabron for a really long
I
time.
forgot about that. That's
Yeah,
funny.
but yeah, so we were always outside. So we would go outside and like fill the yard with mud and build little mud huts, and we
Oh my
would
God, we'd
jump on
have
the
so much fun in the
trampoline.
dirt.
I don't know if you guys
Yeah,
want to talk about this part, but like, were you telling your mom that this stuff was going on?
yeah, we'll get there for
Okay.
sure.
Yeah.
Um, but like, yeah, we were super into the movie Practical Magic, obviously, because it
Obviously.
is,
Duh.
the most incredible. And we so the part in the movie where they cut each other's hands in your blood, my blood, our blood, and we're gonna die old ladies together in
On the same
rocking
day.
chairs with like on the same day covered in cats and all the things. So one day I was like, oh my God, Amber, we need to go do this. So I grabbed a steak knife from the kitchen
I
and we
like how
went out
the
behind the
little
shed.
sister is saying, let's go
hmm
do this.
So I grabbed a steak knife from the kitchen and we went out behind the shed and I cut my hand and it was like my blood. And then I grabbed Amber's hand and she's like, I don't know, wait. She was such a wiener and it was
I
definitely
still
like a
am.
mommy, 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 mommy,
I
mommy, mommy
have always
situation.
been a wiener, always.
And we finally, after I don't even know how long it took, it probably felt way longer because we were like children and we were doing something that we definitely shouldn't have been doing. So I
Trying
was like
not to get
afraid to get
caught.
caught. And I was like, just let me have it. And I grabbed her hand and I didn't like stab it in, but I like grabbed the tip of it and was like,
Probably the
hey,
tiniest,
and
tiniest
it
little
was like
mark.
a tiny little paper cut, but enough to have like a little bit of blood come out. And I was like, your blood. And then we put our
Cute.
hands together, like my blood, or our blood. And yeah, she was the biggest wiener, but we ended up doing it. I actually still have my scar on my hand. I can still
Could
see it
not
in
tell
my
you where mine is.
36-year-old's. It would be on your left hand, if you could find it. But I still have mine, and it's pretty
No
good.
scars here.
Yeah, because you're a wiener. You're a wiener. L7 weenie. Um, Oscar Mayer even. Anyway, but yeah, and then so there was one morning to get back into whether or not we told our mom and everything about what was going on. There was one morning that I went into Amber's room because I was scared and I was tired of it happening, but also I didn't know whether or not it was actually happening because
Mhm.
it was always when I was asleep and
Mhm.
it would wake me up and uh so I went into Amber's room and I was like, hey, I had a dream last night that Sean got a haircut
Mm.
because his hair was long for
He
a
always
really
had like
long
a
time.
mullet, like on and
Yeah,
off.
he had like this crazy 90s mullet. And I was like, I had a dream last night that Sean got a haircut and that he came into my room and he was touching my privates. And she was like, are you sure that was a dream? And I was like, what do you mean? Because I'm like just little and don't know what's going on. And she was like, he comes into my room too. And this is like the realization that he's doing this to both of us. And
Well, and
um,
also, so Mel, like, growing up, like, she stole all the things, she lied a bunch, and like, I'm the older sister. I think this is a very natural, like, older sister, younger sister sort of thing. Like, older sister has a
yeah,
headache, so now little sister also has a
Mhm.
headache, and stuff like that would
totally,
happen a lot.
all the time. Yeah.
And this was
Because
so
I just wanted to be just like you.
exactly like very normal, but like this
Yeah.
was something so big and different and like unexplainable because we
And
were so
you had
young.
never told me
I was
about
like,
it
I can't tell
either.
her
So
this. So like when
yeah.
she came to me, I was like, holy fuck, because
Yeah,
I've never
because it's
told her
definitely
about this.
something that like you had never told me about. So it was like she can't be just trying to be just like me right now because she doesn't know,
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so at that point, Amber definitely made the decision of we have to go tell mom. So, we went into my mom's room where my mom was. She was sitting there playing Final Fantasy or something because that's how mom got away from everything.
Yeah.
She would
She
bury
disassociated
herself
a
in
lot
video
too.
games. Um, and we went in and, we tried to tell her, and she's like, what? No, he would never do that, so on and so forth. And then she called him into the room and was like, this is what the girls are saying. What's going on? And he's like, what? And at that point, I noticed he had a haircut. He had gotten his haircut. And I was like, I'm getting full bod chills right now. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I wasn't dreaming. He actually did this to me.
Well, and
And
that day, because I think there's a different progression, like for both of us, of what happened. Hi, my friend. Because that day I went to school. I don't even think you and I had
was
talked
it
yet.
after?
And I had
Okay.
gone to school and I was like really like could not stop thinking about what happened. And same thing, the haircut.
Hmm.
And like I remember hearing his voice, like hearing him talk, like I knew for sure. Hi, my girl.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Goldie's like, my friend is here. Hello. Hi, look at me.
Yeah,
And
he totally told me to just go back to sleep, is what
yeah,
he told me that
exactly.
night.
Same thing. Same exact thing. And then my friend who I had like all but one class with that year pulled me aside on one of our breaks and she was like, is everything okay? Like, you're so quiet today. And no one has ever told me I'm quiet. And
Yeah.
I ended up confiding in
Because you're not.
her. Yeah. I ended up confiding in her. And she's like, you have to tell your mom. You have to. And all my friends knew like how awful he was just in general, like in the daily life of him
Oh,
being there.
totally. Because they were over all the time. This was
Yeah.
when Amber was a little bit less
I was
like,
popular.
okay, let's hang out. It was very much I don't want my little sister to hang out with me. Mom, tell her to get out. But I didn't have any friends, so I wanted to hang out with my big sister and all of her
Yeah.
friends. And yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. That day I came
good
home and
French onion dip.
I was like pacing around mom a bunch and like trying to get the nerve to tell her what happened.
Yeah.
And finally I did, separate of you. I don't even think we knew yet about you still at that point.
Oh, okay, okay. See, I didn't know
And
this part.
yeah. And mom obviously like I'm sure she puked, like just like devastated and also like no way, and trying to make sense of everything and like talking in circles because he also had a friend who would come over a lot and sometimes sleep over on the couch, and she was like, are you sure it wasn't him? And I was like, no, like I heard his voice. He had shorter hair. And she's like, but you didn't know that he had a haircut. And I was like, I didn't, but like I know him. So
Mm-hmm.
and my mom made me go with her to pick him up from work and tell him what I told her I had to tell him.
Mm-hmm.
And he, of course, flipped out, gaslighted us all, said, no way, blah, blah, blah.
Never do that. Love
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then it was just like a nightmare of a day. Lots of fighting, lots of gaslighting, lots of going in circles. Are you sure it wasn't the friend? Are you sure it wasn't the friend? I'm positive. I know it wasn't. Like literally just
Yeah.
being made to feel crazy. And then I think it must have been probably the next day or something. Because I know we had talked about it before, but I think like before because then I think I told you like you also need to tell mom or something of the sort
Yeah.
that led us to like sitting down with her and then, what you're starting to say. Because
Yeah.
or something. Who knows? Again, trauma brain is really fucking
Yeah,
wild.
exactly. And it was definitely a situation of, after he's sitting there, denying and denying and denying it, because she had brought him into the room the day that Amber and I had both, because I wasn't going to tell her by myself. I wanted my big sister there with me.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was because I was afraid. I was afraid of him too, and I
Yeah,
knew that
exactly.
I just knew in my brain, she's going to confront him, she's going to protect me. And,
And honestly, now that I think about it, like, you must have told me before I got the courage to even go up to mom. Like, now that I think about it, and it must have been like my driving force, because I know it was all in the same day
right.
and it's all just like so
Yeah.
confusing. But I know that you hadn't said anything to mom and it was just me having to confront him. And
Yeah.
ultimately, the end of the night just ended in him being like, don't touch me, don't talk to me, don't look at me. And here we are having to go to bed, and this predator is still
Yeah.
in our house.
Yeah,
And
and like she very much so, like she was like, "Well, show me how he touched you. Pretend my
Oh,
hand or
God.
pretend my fist is your butt,
mhm.
and show me how he touched you." And like
Whew.
I was like really apprehensive to do the action,
Yeah.
because I was like, I don't want to do that. That's gross. Why don't you believe me? Because she's trying to rationalize it. She's trying
Yeah.
to say, okay, so maybe he touched your butt, but like you took it the wrong way or something like that, trying to rationalize it because she's terrified now at this point of,
Yeah.
I don't want to be alone.
Yeah.
What am I going to do? All of the things that would go through a parent's mind. But like, and also it coming from me, the child who lies all the time,
Yeah.
I can see from a parent's point of view now as an adult, I can see the mistrust and the like, are you just trying to get him in trouble? Are you just trying to copy your sister? Blah, 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 blah,
Trying to get
blah.
She
attention.
probably just hoped it wasn't true.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
very real.
Yeah. And
She didn't
so
want to believe it. And
like
also, just to say, she apologizes endlessly all the fucking
Oh
time still
yeah,
to this
all the
day. Like,
time. Like
she
she will
knows.
never forgive herself for that, no matter how much we
Yeah.
tell her to. And you know, she is a wonderful woman.
She,
She's a wonderful mom. Um, she has a heart of gold, and we love her so much. So please
yeah.
know that for sure. But this is a very difficult situation for her to
Yeah.
be in as a
Yeah.
parent. You
But
know,
not being believed when
yeah,
you have been assaulted it changes you.
Yeah.
it's horrible. It's
And
horrible. It
that
makes you feel like you can never tell anybody again.
yeah, I was in 7th or 8th grade at that time. I think 7th. And so we still spent another 3 or 4 years with him as our
Wow.
stepdad after that.
Yeah,
And
I
lots of these
was.
similar situations eventually, like, even though he pulled back and stopped, you know, uh, being so obvious about it for a while, eventually you just
Mhm.
can't help yourself. And
Was he drunk too?
probably,
Like,
yeah,
was he a big drunk?
he'd go out and
He
get
would go out
drunk.
and drink with his
Yeah,
friends, yeah, and then come home, and that's
yeah.
probably when it would happen. I definitely
Gross.
remember, like,
Ugh.
I can't smell vodka
Mm,
because it causes me severe anxiety.
oh my God.
Um, I don't like vodka. I can't
Chills.
drink it. I can't I can't smell it. I can't anything because, and I honestly think that that's what he was drinking. I don't know if they were doing
Mm-hmm.
shots or if they were, drinking screwdrivers or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But, that the smell of that particular alcohol bothers me. And because when he would come into my room at night, I could smell his breath. He was right next to me,
Yeah.
and at the time, I don't know what kind of booze this is. For
Yeah.
all I know is
Really?
that I smell adult beverages,
Yeah. For sure.
Um, but that's the only one that bothers me. So I'm assuming that's probably what was in whatever he was drinking,
Yeah.
at the time. So, But still to this day, even with all the therapy I've been through and everything, you know, like I still to this day can't smell vodka or taste
Yeah.
vodka.
And your nose is especially a trigger to all your triggers.
Oh
Your
yeah. Oh
your
yeah.
smeller takes you
Yeah.
specifically back to
Yeah.
situation.
Anytime I smell airbag dust, I go into a panic attack because of my car accidents. So
Gosh, yeah.
so anything
Well,
that
I'm
simulates that. So
just want to say that I'm really sorry for both of you. It's something that no one should ever have to go through. And I think that probably more people have been through that than not, unfortunately. At least people
yeah.
around our age and older. And it's fucked up.
Yeah, just the way things were handled then. And, you know, I could look personally at mom and know that she was handling the situation with the best tools that she had at the time,
Absolutely.
you know, and facing her own fears and traumas, I'm sure that exist in that relationship as well, like that we may
Right.
not ever even know about. And, you
Right.
know, she was raised by an abuse, like our grandfather, who's the man who helped raise us. He was very abusive when she grew up. And luckily, like, we didn't really experience that from him, not sexually, but he was a drunk and, you know, was abusive when she was raised. So I just know that, like, when you go through those things, you don't really have the tools of knowing how to escape them or how to
Right.
handle them. So I know she
Yeah,
was
and I'm a
doing
bit
the best that she could in that moment.
yeah, and I'm a big person of like take what you can from the situation to make yourself stronger and throw the rest of it out.
Hell yeah.
And so I am, you know, constantly teaching all of my kids, not just my daughters. I have two daughters and two sons, and teaching them that no matter what it is, no matter what you say to me, you will never be in trouble. You will never be disbelieved. You can always come to me with anything that you
Yeah.
have going on in your life, and we will talk about it and we will get through it together. You know, like
Yeah.
I have had children have, you know, suicidal thoughts. And, you know, it's it's not a good thing that they have these thoughts, obviously. We got them in therapy. They're on, you know, their antidepressants and everything, keeping them healthy and everything like that. But like the fact that they felt comfortable coming to me and telling me, Mom, this is how I'm feeling, it just makes me feel amazing as a parent, makes me feel like I succeeded somewhere
Yeah.
because when I was feeling that way as a teenager because of all of the trauma that I had been through, I didn't, sorry,
Don't be
I
sorry.
didn't
Yeah.
have, you know, someone to go to. I didn't feel like I could go and talk to my mom about it.
Yeah.
And I felt ashamed and I felt that, you know, there was something wrong with me and it's my fault. So I
Mhm.
just need to work through it myself.
Mhm.
And, you know, I had taken attempts at my life and I was a cutter and, you know, in the in betweens, but there were definitely some dark times in my life where I felt that everybody around me and the world as a whole would be better without me on it.
Mhm.
And, you know, it was a very difficult thing to live through, not feeling as though I had somebody to go to talk to about it. And so, you know, it took getting to the point of making an attempt on my life to, you know, make my mom aware that I was feeling this way.
Yeah.
And, you know, it should never ever get to that point. And everybody's children should feel like you as parents should always make your children aware that you are there for them no matter what's going on. It doesn't matter if we
Yeah.
got in a fight 2 minutes ago. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter if you're grounded for something. It doesn't matter if, you know, I just yelled at you because you didn't do your chores for the fifth day in a row. It doesn't matter. No matter what is going on in your life, you can always come and talk to me, and I will literally drop everything. I don't care if I have a 10-page paper due in 5 minutes, I will drop it all. I don't care if I have to be to work in 2 minutes. I will drop it all because you are what's important to me. You are what matters. And if I lose you, I'm done.
Mhm.
So it's a situation of every child should feel comfortable being able to go and talk to their parent, and their parent needs to make themselves open enough to so that those children know they can go to you. Because I would hate to go through what mom went through
Yeah.
and finding out that my child feels this way because they tried to kill themselves, not because they came and talked to me and said, I'm feeling sad and I don't know why. And I kind of feel like I don't want to be here. You
Yeah.
know, like that would have been a way different experience for mom if I had felt comfortable going to her. And that's not her fault. But, like making herself open in a way she couldn't at that time, you know, because of what she was going through, what she was having to disassociate from. And, like I'm glad I wasn't successful, obviously,
Fuck, me too. I don't know what I
but
would do without you in my life.
me either. But like, that wasn't the only time, that I had attempted. That wasn't the only time I have felt that way. And I never, up until, the last 15 years, felt like I had anybody to go to talk to about it, except for you, Amber, of course. But,
Oh, yeah.
when you were
Even then,
17, you moved and you were gone. And, that's you. That's what you needed to do for you. And I'm so happy that you did that for yourself, you know.
oh, when
But
I
the
when
way
I
that
moved to
I
Arizona,
felt,
is that what you're talking about?
yeah,
I
yeah.
was 19 when I did that.
Were you 19? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, mom, that's right. That's right.
And you moved to go
hmm
be with dad.
yeah, and not by choice, but after a few attempts and some crazy me running away situations and, all
Yeah,
the stuff, I
the
got sent to go
the
live with my
runaway
dad.
laws in New Mexico were not as good as they were in Colorado. So
Yeah.
our dad finally stepped in to be a dad for a moment of her life.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean,
I mean, he came and picked me up.
yeah.
I want
But
to say that you are just such a good mom, and your kids are so lucky that they have that safe space with you.
Mm-hmm.
And as for your mom, like, we do live in a time of social media where we're all connected, and it gives us a chance to kind of like self-reflect more publicly. I mean, even like this podcast and
Yeah.
stuff, like we hear other people with similar experiences, so we know we're not alone, and then we're able to like change and grow from that. And I think that people used to just suffer in silence because it was very much like, water the grass, keep up with the Joneses, don't let anyone see
yeah,
that you're hurting or that you're different. And so you like put on this facade that
Yeah.
everything's okay when it's not, and then you just bury all your shit
Yeah.
instead of like digging.
yeah,
And our generation too, I think we dig up our shit and then we
yeah,
look at our shit and analyze it and figure out how we can grow and do better and then shape our children to be better.
yeah, yeah.
Well said.
And
Very
like,
well said.
I mean, my oldest daughter, she was struggling with her depression and anxiety, and you know she never knew my past or what I had gone through. At this point she did know that my current husband was not her biological father, but
Mm.
he's the one who's been in her life since she was a baby. So he's
Mhm.
dad. And, she told him that. She's like, I don't care. This other dude can suck it, basically, is what she said.
Sure can.
And but she was struggling with, her depression and anxiety, and she was telling me that she was having some bad thoughts and, stuff like that. And she was already in therapy for her anxiety and her depression, and, you know, she felt that she wanted to talk to me instead of her therapist about it, which is great. It's wonderful, and I was so happy that she felt comfortable to coming and talking to me like that. But I felt in the moment that I wasn't really getting through to her. And so I had decided to open up to her and tell her about my struggles with those types of thoughts when I was a child. And this is more going to be a depiction on, like, don't hide your shit from your kids either,
Mm.
because
Mhm.
it can allow them to not feel alone, which is like the biggest thing.
Totally.
And so I opened up to her about the last time. This is officially the last time I had ever had the thought of, I don't want to be here. And it was when she was 2 months old, and I was still with her biological father. And he was extremely abusive. He was abusive in every way that you can possibly think of. I mean, I grew up with this, so this is what, I think the norm is, it's
Mhm.
okay. And I knew it wasn't okay, but I was like, as long as the kids are okay, that's fine. Um, and there was just one particular day where I was making dinner for his entire family plus us. So I was doing laundry for 9 people. I was cooking dinner for 9 people. I was taking care of his older sister's twin boys. I was, you know, literally keeping the house clean so that everybody was happy. I was doing everything on top of just having a baby 2 months ago. And Taylor, I'm sure that you can you can relate to what it feels like to have a baby 2 months ago and what you
Mhm.
feel like in that moment.
And what you're capable
And
of
so,
doing even.
yeah. So doing all of this on top of just giving birth 2 months prior, and I was making pork chops for dinner. I had just, I had finished cleaning the house. I was making pork chops for dinner. I was baking them, and they were starting to burn to the pan a little bit. And so I wasn't thinking they were in a Pyrex pan and had been in the oven for 30 minutes. And I'm like, I'm just going to pour some water in there. I poured the water in there. The pan shatters and just like explodes out of the oven.
Mm.
And instantaneously, it was what the fuck are you doing? Why are you so fucking stupid? Why would you do that? And he got up and grabbed a piece of the Pyrex pan and like came up to me with it and was like, if you ever do something like this, I'm gonna fucking slit your throat, and all the things. And not talking about it like it's just like normal, average, everyday living, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So um, I laugh so I don't cry. Uh, so that night I was just like, I'm done. I can't fucking do this anymore. I cannot do this anymore. And I put Maddie to bed, and I uh he had left for work because he worked overnights at a general merchandise store down the street. And um I was just like, I can't do this, but he doesn't go after kids, so that I know that the kids will be okay. I can't anymore, and I can't even describe what that feeling is. And so unless you felt it, you don't know. Um and I went into the bathroom, and I just stood there, and I was like looking at myself in the mirror. And it was just like, this is it. I love everybody, but I can't be here anymore because I can't keep going through this every day. I'm just done. I literally have nothing. to provide anybody else nothing to live for anymore. And at that moment, Madison rolled over for the first time in her crib
Mm.
and popped her little head up for the first time. She's never held her head up by herself. And the bathroom was right next to my bedroom, so I was able to see her crib from the bathroom. I always had her in sight, wherever I was. And she just like cooed at
Mm.
me. And it was literally like she was like, "Yeah, you do. I'm right here." you
Oh.
know. And so I told Madison that night, we were sitting in my room when she was telling me she was having these thoughts and everything. And I told her this story, and I told her, I was like, "You personally, not your brothers, not your sister, you are the reason. Not that I love them any less, trust me. That's not."
Yeah.
But I was like, "You are literally, very, very literally the reason that I am still here. You are the reason why Riley and Jude were born.
Mm.
You are the reason that we got away from that piece of shit and found happiness, and we are here alive today."
Mm.
So if you ever feel like you are alone in these feelings and the way that your brain is trying to make you feel, you are not. And I want you to remember that you saved my life. And I am forever grateful for the fact that you are here on this earth. And I don't know what I would do without you here. And that was the last time she felt like that too.
Oh.
So like people need to understand that hiding your past from your kids, obviously you don't have to give them all the nitty-gritty details, but being open with your children, you can't expect your children to be open with you if you are not willing to do that in return. So being open with them about your past when you need to be, with as much detail as you need to be, is extremely important to maintaining the mental health of yourself, your children, and overall your happiness and togetherness as a family. And you know, suicide is no joke.
Yeah.
Feeling like you want to do that is no joke. Even feeling like you want to self mutilate because you feel like you'll feel better in the moment isn't a joke. It is, it's a real thing. And your brain chemistry reacts to the most immediate pain. So
Yeah.
that's why, cutting was a release for me, because at the moment I was in so much emotional pain that, you know, cutting myself would release those endorphins and tell my brain, "Oh, we need to do this first. So let's put this on the back burner and let's do this."
Yeah.
And so like that's why I get so pissed off when like there are these like people who are like, "Oh yeah, I'm a cutter, look at all my scars," and like
Or it's like a showy
and
thing to be
it's like
cool or
you're
something.
not doing that because of any reasons you would be hiding that shit,
Yeah.
But like
Thank you.
it's I might be getting a little off track here, but it's not it's no joke. Even if you are feeling even just a little bit sad and you just feel like you need somebody to talk to, that doesn't necessarily mean you need to be on antidepressants. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're crazy or anything like that. It just means that you're having a hard time and you need somebody to bounce those feelings off of and get them out so that they're not hunkered down inside you. And
100%.
it does a world of difference. It's huge. It is huge. And even just that little powwow with Maddie, like it was so powerful for her to hear that, she started doing huge work in therapy, and she started,
Mhm.
really going on an upslope after that. And she's doing great now. She's doing absolutely incredible. And, you know, to know that I helped her through that is just an incredible feeling. And the fact that she felt comfortable to come and talk to me about that in the first place is an incredible feeling,
Yeah. I'm so glad you trusted yourself and trusted her to be able to be so vulnerable too, and sharing
Yeah,
that,
it
and just
definitely wasn't
like,
easy.
just trusting your intuition, knowing that, like, I mean, I think that's probably one of the biggest things in a lot of these situations is you do just feel so alone. Like, no one understands.
Yeah.
No one's ever felt like this before, and that's also why we do this podcast, for all of those reasons, so that people don't feel as alone in their experiences, because we're all human. We're all part of that fabric, and we all have some understanding of others. And I think
Yeah.
most of us want to help, and even just holding that space. So thank you for being so vulnerable here and sharing that, because I know that it's going to help at least one person, if not more.
Oh, I sure hope so. That's why I was willing to share it, because like n- everybody always thinks about, like, even if you are being a supportive parent to your child and you're getting them to therapy and all the things like that, like that's not the wrong decision. Not
Yeah.
sharing your past isn't the wrong decision.
Yeah.
It just depends on the situation. It's a situation by situation basis, and but I want other parents to know, my experience, because
Yeah.
honestly, I was terrified that I was going to lose my daughter.
Yeah.
And we were at the precipice of not knowing, because she wasn't really making any progress in therapy, and she was still struggling really hard. And we had, tried a different therapist, and we had tried, different antidepressants. We had tried anti-anxiety medications. We had tried oils. We had tried, homeotherapy or homeopathic remedies. We had literally tried everything, and she was still struggling. And I'm like, you know
Yeah.
what? Maybe she just needs to hear that, you know,
Moms felt that
she
too.
isn't, I've been there.
Yeah.
She needs to hear that I've been there, and I know what
Definitely.
you're feeling like, and I know it sucks. But just like mom always used to tell me when I was a kid, after she had found out, how I was feeling and everything, that it is a permanent solution to a temporary problem.
Yeah.
And I know that that's very generalized, because, as a teenager, nothing's temporary to you.
Yeah. It
It's the end
feels
of the world.
forever.
Everything,
Yeah.
yeah. But having that reminder in my head, all the time, permanent solution to a temporary problem. This will pass.
Mhm.
This too shall pass.
Most definitely.
And, that's when you really start to be able to open yourself up to things that are going to help, because teenagers are also very stubborn, and they're like, oh, you want me to do this, watch me not do that. you
Mm-hmm.
know
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, totally.
so I really honestly feel that you know she needed to hear from somebody that wasn't just an unbiased specter in
Yeah.
her situation.
Very real for her.
And she needed to I needed her to know, for myself, that, like, literally, if she wasn't here, I wouldn't be either.
Yeah.
you know
Totally.
like, that's a scary thought.
Yeah.
Like, even now thinking about that, I'm like, shit.
Yeah. It's very real.
you know.
Well, I'm
But yeah,
so fucking glad both of you are here. I love you so much.
me too.
And
I
I
love you
love
too,
your
sister.
children so much. And I'm just proud of you for navigating that the way that you did and that it worked out the way that it did too. And since we
Yeah.
are talking about this, I do think it is important just to point out to the listener and know that help is available if you do feel just like alone in the world and alone in your situations. And there's the suicide hotline and crisis lifeline. You can call or text 988. And there is also a domestic violence hotline if you are experiencing similar things and you're stuck in a relationship or a situation or anything like that where you just feel like you can't get out any other way. And that phone number is 800-799-7233, or you can text begin to 88788 to get some help with that as well.
And I just want to let the listener know at this point that I have been in both of these situations more than once.
Yeah.
And I know that in the moment, in that time, it is terrifying as hell to try to reach out to somebody about what's going on. But even if you can just, get away, go to a closet, or pretend you're pooping in the bathroom,
Yeah.
using the text messaging is huge because you don't have to use your voice.
Yeah.
And they won't hear you, and you can always delete that thread, and they have 100% confidentiality, and they will give you tips that you can use. And do not be afraid to reach out to authorities because domestic violence has gotten a bad rap, but you can get out and you can live fear free. And it is so hard. But once you are out and you're away from it, you will realize that there is still love in the world.
Mm.
There are people that care about you. There are, and even if you feel like there isn't, I care about you. Okay? I want you to know that it is so hard to get out of these situations. It's absolutely terrifying. My ex told me if I were to ever leave him or try to take his daughter from him, not that he gave a shit. It was his piece to control me. But if I ever tried to leave him or take his daughter from him, that he would hunt me down and kill us both. I had nightmares for months about him coming into my room and killing us. And it was absolutely terrifying. But I got out, I got away, and I am happy and I am safe. And my daughter is alive. She's 15. She's getting ready to turn 16 next month. She's starting driving school tomorrow. Like, she was 5 months old when we left. And we are both so much happier for it. You can get out. You can be safe and you can be happy. Know that you're worth that.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sister, for sharing your
Absolutely.
story. And I hate to even try to get on to
I know.
anything else, but I also know that time is valuable and
Yes.
you have stuff to get off to. If you want to just give us a quick update of where you are now and what life looks like, and then I would love to just talk about a little bit of your magic and share a little bit of that with the listeners too before we wrap things up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, where I am now, crazy life. I have 4 kids. I work full time. I'm going to school full time. Um, I'm going to school for medical laboratory sciences. I know Amber's called it doctoring in the past.
Something
I'm
like
not going to be a doctor.
just
Going to be
real
a medical
smart.
laboratory scientist. So I'm going to be testing your specimens in the lab and being a crazy mad
Cool.
scientist. And it's going to be great. Um, And yeah, I mean, I still practice when I can at home. I'm still practicing every day in my brain, in my mind, in my body. Um, I just me and Maddie, my oldest daughter, we went and got certified in crystal casting together for her birthday last year, which was really fun and really cool.
What's that?
Um, so crystal casting is basically it's kind of like reading tarot cards, but
It's a type of
with
divination.
casting crystals on like a little map that you have. Um, and doing divination based on where the crystals land and which crystal is where, because you have a crystal for each one of your chakras. And based on where that crystal lands on the map, kind of gives you insight into what's going on within that person's energy, within their life, and things like that. So,
Cool.
um, super fun, super interesting. I haven't done it a lot, so it's still kind of new to me, but
Do you think there's a way to do it
it's
for the
fun.
collective? Do you, instead of like one singular
Um,
person, do you think you could read it in that
I
way?
haven't I haven't ever tried that. So,
I bet it's
I mean,
possible.
I'm sure it's possible. Uh,
Do you want to cast some, like, do it right here? You just want to cast some crystals for us and let's just do a general energy reading?
yeah.
Can you
Okay.
describe what the map looks like for listeners?
So, there's a couple of different ones that you can go off of. One of them has the planets and the moon and the sun. One of them has your zodiac sign, so Libra, Virgo, Sagittarius, so on and so forth. And then one of them is the feng shui map, which is just a map with 9 different squares on it, just all in one big square. And the top line is abundance, wealth, power, fame, reputation, social life, marriage, relationships, and love. Those are the first 3 squares on the top. The middle section is family, community, and core health. Um, middle middle. So where everybody puts the X on tic-tac-toe first, well-being and balance. And then the one to the right of that is children, creativity, and legacy. And then the bottom row is knowledge, spirituality, personal growth, career, work success, and helpful people, travel, and father.
Cool.
So we usually use 2 of these different maps in a casting session. My personal favorite is the planets and then the feng shui map.
Great.
Um, so I always do the planets map first, just to kind of get an idea of like where your energy's at, what's out of balance, so on and so forth, and then we go in a little bit more detail with the feng shui map. um
Cool. And you don't have to do like a
so
whole full on reading, maybe just like a quickie. I know it's just
okay,
practice for you, but maybe like 10 minutes tops of something. And then
okay, okay,
make sure to take a picture of it so we can post it.
sure. Do you want me to take a picture of the maps by themselves as well so that you can
No, you can
see?
just do it with just the crystals.
Okay,
That's fine.
okay,
Yeah.
just the crystals.
Just
Okay,
however they're casted.
alrighty. Perfect. Okay. So I am calling in my guides to help me cast these stones for the collective. Casting commence. Okay. So there are a few that flew off of the map, in which case we don't use those.
Okay.
Um, so we have our crown chakra is in Saturn. Our root chakra is in Jupiter, which is
Ooh.
where nowhere near where it needs to be. So to give you an idea, the Jupiter section of the map is up on the top right-hand corner, and
Mm.
you're so up by your crown instead of down by your root where it should be.
Oh, we're way off. We're not grounded.
Yeah. We've been talking about some heavy stuff. So, and then our let's see here, our third eye chakra is over in Pluto. So I'm just gonna grab these cards really quick. Just bear with me for a moment. Because I am still learning, I'm still using my little like informational cards
We
that
love
help
it.
me out. It's kind of like using the guidebook with your tarot cards, you know.
Awesome.
And then we have, oh no, wait, I lied. Our root chakra is in Mercury, which is a little bit closer to the root.
Okay.
So that's good. Which one is? Oh, our throat chakra is in Jupiter. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. That's closer to where it needs to be too. Yeah, these ones just make a little the reason I like the planets versus the zodiac signs is they're a little less complicated, so they're easier for like clickies,
Cool.
as you
Perfect.
say. So let's see, we have Venus, we got Saturn, we have Jupiter, beautiful. Here. Okay, so we'll just start from the top and work our way around. It's kind of casted in a big circle,
Okay.
which is great because that gives me kind of a line to draw off of. One thing that I like about my root chakra crystal is it's kind of shaped like an arrowhead, so it like points places,
I
which is
love
great.
that.
I love it.
Sets the tone of the
So
energy.
yeah, yeah. So okay. So our crown is in Saturn. Our crown is obviously located, well, not obviously, maybe to the listener, but it's located at the top of your head. It is all about like spirituality, connection to the universe, awareness, trust in life, so on and so forth. It is sitting in Saturn right now, which is, it stands for development of self-discipline, self-respect, patience, reliability. Wow, this is already making sense, guys. I don't know if yeah, this definitely is, and making peace with solitude. Okay.
What's
So
coming to
we've been
mind
talking
when you
about
say that? Yeah. I feel
yeah,
like you have things
we've
popping.
been talking a lot about feeling vulnerable and not feeling like we can rely on people and being afraid to be alone in situations. And I really feel like what this is saying is to be positive about these thoughts. Don't be afraid about these things. Grab hold of that self-discipline and know that you need to respect yourself enough to know that you have people that love you. They will be patient with you and you will be okay on your own. You need to love yourself before you can love another, and you just need to be at peace with yourself and know that you are okay to do that.
Well, and the crown chakra is like connected to your spiritual team and guides too. So it's like there's so much other support available, like
Yes.
as like universal support helping to guide you. So that's kind of interesting too.
Yes. And so our next one is our throat chakra crystal, which is located in your throat, like right there, next to your clavicle, where or collarbone, I'm sorry, meets in the middle. Um, this is all about communication, expressing your feelings, using your voice, um, kind of the things that you would think of when you think of the throat.
Mm-hmm.
But also freedom of expression and ability to make decisions,
Yeah.
uh, speaking your truth and bridging head to heart. So
Mm.
this is again just kind of leading into that um, feeling okay and having the willpower to communicate your fears and express yourself in a way that's right for you and speaking your truth to the world. Now, this is sitting in Pluto, which, um, sorry, good grab. Um, Looking at this, so um, focus one's mind on willpower and one's own transformation, having the courage to face one's deepest fears and desires,
Mm.
compulsions to transmute them through effort of intensity of experience. So, you know, depending on how, like, I don't like to judge anyone's intensity of experience because when it comes to the things that we've been talking about today, there is it doesn't matter how intense the experience is. If it is not right for you, you need to speak up and you need to, like, I
Mm.
hate to be like the bossy mom here, but speak up, call your loved ones, call those hotlines, whatever it is that you have to do to get yourself safe.
Mm.
Okay, the next one is our heart chakra crystal, and unfortunately, it is not where it's supposed to be. It is down in our butts. People, we have we have our heart chakra in our butts, and you know what that tells me?
Hmm.
That tells me that our heart is not in the right place.
Oh.
This is all about love and safety and trust and relationships, commitment. It's when your heart is in your butt, that's not good. You don't want to poop your heart out, guys. Don't
Well,
poop your
and
heart out, okay?
what I'm thinking about is like when you like get some devastating news or like you're on that
Yeah, your
roller
heart
coaster,
falls into
like
your
it
butt, literally.
literally that's like how you describe that feeling.
Yes.
It's like, uh-oh, oh God. When you
Yeah,
so
like my heart
interesting.
literally dropped into my butt. I say that all the time.
Yeah.
My heart dropped into my butt, and my heart is dropping into my butt for anybody going through any of these situations that we have talked
Mhm.
about today. And anyone who is not in one of these situations but knows someone who is, please, going back to the throat chakra, use your voice. Let them know
Mm.
that you love them.
Mhm.
Let them know that you are there for them. Let them know that they have a place for you or that you can help them find a place if you do not have a place for them.
Mhm.
Let them know that you are there. Because when you neglect to do that, not that any of it is your fault in any way, shape, or form, they are feeling like they don't have someone to come to. So make them know, let them know that they have someone to come to.
Mhm.
Don't make my heart fall into my butt, guys. Please don't make my heart fall into my butt. It hurts. It's not great. It's the worst feeling ever.
Butthurt.
Butthurt.
Okay.
Hey.
Hemorrhoids, man, not great. They
Ooh.
itch, they burn, they're horrible. Okay. Now, to where our heart is, the root chakra. This is all about survival, grounding, security, stability, courage, guys, courage. Okay. There's so many things about this that is speaking to, like, literally, this cast is probably one of the most accurate, and like it is sitting with me, and it like I feel the weight of it. Have courage, not only for yourself, but for the ones around you. If you have children, especially for them, but for yourself, because you can't take care of someone else unless you take care of yourself.
Mhm.
So our root chakra is sitting in Mercury. Uh, sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Um, Objective understanding, clear verbal expression, creative use of skill or intelligence. You are smart enough. You are strong enough. You have the courage inside you. You just need to unbury it, dig in deep, grab a hold of it, and know that you are worth it 100%. You need to be safe and happy. Everybody deserves to be safe and happy.
Mm.
And that is my crystal cast for the collective.
Great job.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Holy Nikes.
You have to do this more. Are you open to people connecting with you and like requesting your magic?
Yes, I will let everybody know though that my schedule is very, very
Yeah, for
limited.
sure.
Like I said, I have 4 kids. I work full time and I am a full-time student as well. So my schedule is very limited. However, I am more than happy to help anybody through anything that they need help with
Yeah.
through
That's just-
my divination and my magic.
You're so good at it. Thank you
you
so much for
Oh,
sharing that with
thanks.
us. I think that's perfect. I don't think we need a
Absolutely.
card pull today. That's like
Yeah,
the
that
perfect
was
message. It's
amazing.
so good. Thank you for doing that. Don't forget to take a picture of it before you
I won't. I'm
deconstruct
leaving it
it.
just the way it
Okay.
is.
Thank you for being so open with us today and sharing all of your
Absolutely.
deep, dark secrets.
I know. I know there's so much more.
Absolutely.
Like,
Thank you guys for
oof.
being an outlet for, everybody to be able
Yeah.
to listen to and gain confidence through, and know that they're not alone through you guys being that, even just somebody listening to this is going through things like this, even if they're not, but someone who is, they get information that they need, they know that they're not alone, and that in itself is amazing.
Yeah,
And I'm
Mhm.
so grateful that you guys are here doing what you're doing.
me too.
Me too. Thank you so much. We would love to ask you our 2 final questions that we ask all of our
Okay.
guests. And the first one is, especially as a busy mom and student and employee and wife and all the things that you do, what is one thing
Oh yeah, I'm a wife too, by the way.
such a nurturer. What is one thing that you do for self-care that you just can't live without?
Massage.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
I love going and getting my massages. I go at least once a month. If I'm able to, I go,
Hell yeah.
once every couple of weeks, but I go once a month to get my massages. And that is what I do for me.
I need to
Fuck
do
My
yeah.
that.
one thing.
I'm so glad you do something for you because I know you're so busy all the time and so many little
Yeah,
needy beings around you.
absolutely. Whenever I
And
go for my massage, the kids are like, again? I'm like, yes.
Yes.
I'll see you in 2 hours.
hell
And I
yeah.
go and get my 90 minutes.
If there was one thing you could tell your younger self, what would it be?
Oh, so many things. Don't be afraid to be alive.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Know your worth.
Yeah.
Know that you're loved.
You are loved.
You're so loved.
Thank you so
So are
much.
you guys.
Thank you.
I feel the love.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, you're amazing. I'm so glad you're my sister and we chose to do life together. I wouldn't
Oh,
want anyone else.
absolutely, forever and ever.
Yes, and I'm glad that we love each other so good in our adult life. Because,
Me too. I can only hope and dream that my kids will love each other as much as we do, for sure.
yeah, I hope so too. Well,
Right now they're in the I hate you phase.
yeah,
So, you know.
we did that.
Yep.
It's part of it.
Yep.
Well, this is where we boss our listeners around and tell them to go take care of themselves. So
I think that you should choose one guest that we've had on here throughout the last 3 seasons and book a service with them.
ooh, that's a great call out. I love
Ooh.
that.
It was going to be that or something about buttholes, so
Like wax your butthole or something.
I'm not even going to say it. Yeah. Also do that. if you want.
Oh, that's a great self-care thing. I think, like, for me, just breath is so powerful and really moves me through the heavy emotions. And there's a lot of amazing, like, free YouTube videos for breath work that are really powerful, like, for any sort of thing that you're going through, or maybe you just want to wake up and, like, focus on your breath for 10 minutes. So go to YouTube and find someone that you connect with and do a little free breath work workout.
Your turn.
Love yourself.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Love
It's not an option.
It's not an option, says Auntie Mel.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we love you so much. Thanks again for being here.
This episode has been produced by my husband, Curtis Burgess.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Waking Up the Witch.
And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please email us at wakingupthewitch@gmail.com.
And don't forget to head over to the link in our bio on Instagram for all the ways to connect with both Amber and Taylor. And go to moonbeeswellness.com for all your self-care and witchy needs.
We love you. Bye.
Bye. Ow. Ow.